Welcome to SFA All Access. Today we will be talking about the Office of Multicultural Affairs. Stay tuned to SFA All Access to learn more. Welcome to SFA All Access. I'm Jessica Vance, and today we have Javon Long, who is the Assistant Director of the Office of Multicultural Affairs. The OMA prides itself in facilitating unity and familial spirit on campus, as well as developing the cultural awareness of the students, staff, and faculty. Today, Javon is teaching us more about what the OMA is and what they do here on the SFA campus. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So first, can you tell us about what the OMA is and what they do?
Yes, so Office of Multicultural Affairs, we're a center that's primarily focused on advocating and providing resources for all our multicultural affairs students. Well, excuse me, focusing on our multicultural affairs students. But of course, we're here for all our students on campus, and just trying to make sure that all our students feel inclusive while they're here at SFA.
Absolutely. So the structure of it does incorporate multiple organizations, correct?
Yes, it does. So overall, we're actually part of the Division of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion that's headed by Dr. Mashar Delaney Field, excuse me. And but within the OMA, we have different types of affiliated and endorsed student organizations that fall under our umbrella, who we provide them with resources such as advising, funding, and just kind of giving them an avenue to help advance their organization.
That's awesome. So what are some of the other goals of the organization?
So depending on each organization has their own particular goal. Here at the OMA, we just try to help them become a better version of themselves as an organization. So whether that's us advising them, once again, like I said, providing them funding, helping them plan their events, or more importantly, just having a space where all of them can come together and have a space where they all belong and can bounce ideas off of each other. So at the end of the day, just trying to make sure all these students have every resource they need to be successful on campus.
It's really cool. So what type of events and programs do you put on with these organizations?
So each organization does a little bit. For OMA specifically, normally we start, so spring semester, we start with our Mlk Day of Service. We branch off into Tunnel of Oppression. We actually just wrapped up Diversity Week last week, which is with LCA, Lumberjack Culture Association, but they're actually headed under our umbrella as well. So we just do a variety of different events. Each organization kind of focuses on what they want to as it relates to what their organization likes to advocate for. And here at the OMA, we just kind of provide that overarching window to support them however they need.
Absolutely. So you mentioned the tunnel of oppression, and something that I've noticed with the orgs on campus, a lot of them focus on like fun events to draw people in. But what do you think the benefit is of having these more serious and somber events?
At the end of the day, uncomfortable things. We shy away from things that are uncomfortable, but those are things that we need to draw to learn from. So when we talk about wanting to be inclusive on campus and kind of understanding and representation, a tunnel of oppression takes you through things that you don't normally experience. I always say, as a black male, I don't know what it's like being a black woman who's sitting across from me. So a tunnel of oppression can take me through some of the things that a black woman experiences based purely on their race or sex that I would never actually have the opportunity to experience. So that's a very that's a very informative way of understanding another person's impression. That way we know that's us to have privilege. That way we know what we can do to help. But at the end of the day, it's good to experience those things. And once again, do some serious learning. At the end of the day, we love for y'all to have fun. But at the end of the day, as college students, education is very important, in particular as it relates to multiculturalism.
Absolutely. I definitely agree that informing the student body is really important. So that being said, how do you identify the needs of the multicultural community, and how do you plan to bring like their needs to them?
The biggest one is my students. So when I have an open, well, everyone in that OMA has an open door policy. Me and my boss Veronica, and the students will run in there and let you know what they need. And when we hear that, we try to make it happen. But recently, we just had our campus climate survey. I hope you took it. And we actually got the results of those. So we're going over those results now as our office and getting ready to make recommendations to listen to what the students said that they wanted, and trying to see what we can do to incorporate that for them.
Absolutely. How have you implemented the climate survey in the past when it comes to forming how the OMA is serving our students?
Okay, so this is This is my first time since I've been here that we've had a campus climate survey. So I think the SFA previous had one or two, and exactly how to implement those, I'm gonna be honest, I'm not sure because it happened
Right.
before my time here. But I can tell you specifically for this one. Like I said, the results from that campus climate survey we have released to the campus, but like I said, as an office, we're going through those now, and we're making recommendations to present to the board of regents in July.
Absolutely, that's really cool.
Yes.
So, that being said, since you've started, how do you think your role has impacted OMA and what have you been doing in the organization?
I think it's impacting in a good way. I think one thing that a lot, especially my GA, her name's Corey Lou, she said the one thing that she noticed was a lot more black males have started coming to the OMA. If we look at higher education, black males have been doing in population and having more of them in the OMA may just because they see another black male up there. At the end of the day, representation is important. So I think just having another voice for students to be able to listen to, someone that looks like them, that feels like that supports them, I think is one of the best things I've been able to provide so far. I think of myself as a decent advisor, so being able to help students on whatever they need. And then at the end of the day, we have that open door policy where they can come down and just sit there and talk about life or anything that they may need. So I think just once again, I'm primary student facing, so 9 to 5, my 9 to 5 is different from most everyone else's. But at the end of the day, I think my biggest resource is just being there for students and whatever their needs, and trying to make sure my job is to help them feel welcome on campus. So I mean, I think that's my primary. I think that's what my major impact has been for the OMA.
Okay, so that being said, what does a day in the life look like? Like, are you just in your office or are you mostly out on the grounds talking to the students and the people
Uh,
in your org?
Depends on the day. So for the most part, around at 8 to about 10 or 11, I'm in my office trying to get some work done. But once lunch hits and students start rolling in, most of my work is pretty much done for the day. They'll be filtering in and out of my office. But sometimes, you got meetings here and there I might have to hit. And then for the most part, especially like this week, for example, I'll be here at night every week for some type of student event. So if there's a student organization I advise or just a student organization that's having an event, I like to go support those. And at the end of the day, a lot of times how my day looks dictates what students tell me throughout the day. So sometimes on Monday I might have a schedule planned out, but at Monday at 10:30, a student may come in and have a need that messes up the rest of my schedule day that I might need to adjust. So it's not really a typical day. Every day doesn't look the same here. So
Well, that must be really fun.
I like
What's your favorite part about it?
my favorite part interacting with students. That's the end of the day. I enjoy the assessment side that I do because that's important when we talk about data and metrics. At the end of the day, just talking to students, interacting with them, and I always tell people at the end of the day, students are entertainment to me because they are very
Right.
hilarious. But I actually enjoy that part of my job, so I think that's my favorite part.
Well, that's really cool.
Thank you.
It's really nice to see that you have this like very open relationship with your students. I
Hmm.
think that definitely helps facilitate the open door policy and speaking and getting to know their needs
Almost
and
there.
being able to serve them.
Hmm.
Stay tuned. After the break, we'll be right back with more on how the OMA operates and what types of events they organize here on campus. Welcome back to SFA All Access. We have Javon Long, who is the Assistant Director of the Office of Multicultural Affairs, and we're going to be talking about some of the events that the OMA organizes. So can you tell us more about the semester programming and what types of events you guys usually put on?
Yes, so like I said, I know I started so in their spring semester, so which we're currently in. We normally start with our Mlk Day of Service. It's a national program that happens across the country, so not just here at the OMA, but it's through a organization that we do that from. Another big one is Diversity Week, which I mentioned earlier. Of course, in February we have our Black History Month celebration. This year we had kind of a showcase of different types of black talent, black art, black music, black dance. Today we have an event for our Asian Pacific Islander Heritage Month. That's going to be at 12 p.m. So it just kind of depends. Each month normally is going to be dedicated to something. Of course, we had our Women's Empowerment Summit last month due to women's history. So each month is going to be something different that we primarily focus on. But all May, we range to do about 30 events a year. It's about 15
Wow.
to 15 each semester.
Okay, that's really cool. So you said that it really depends on what's going on in the month and what types of things you're observing.
Mm-hmm.
But who's usually doing the planning and how does the planning for an event come together?
Most of our planning is done by our wonderful student staff, our student ambassadors, and our student assistants. Each one of them are kind of the main ones that do any event planning. And me and my boss Veronica, we split up supervisor responsibilities. But at the end of the day, most of our student staff is really stellar at getting most of those events together. Particularly like our brave spaces are something to chew on, which are smaller events, a little bit more intimate, where they come up with those topics of discussion and kind of run those events. But our student staff is mainly the one that kind of plans these events, and we help as staff oversee those events and help them plan where they need where they need help at. But for the most part, our student ambassadors are going to be the primary ones planning those.
Absolutely. So, have you guys ever run into any difficulties when it comes to planning events, whether that be financial or sort of the climate of the campus,
Mm-hmm.
whether or not that's been like concretely observed?
Well, everybody needs money, so of course funding is always going to be an issue. But in terms of climate of the campus, I will say since I've been here, I haven't had any major issues with that. But I have been told in the past, um, like I said earlier, at the end of the day, diversity is uncomfortable, and it
Right.
shouldn't be. But diversity and the tagline of diversity, inclusive, privilege, all these things that we do and we celebrate and we advocate are uncomfortable topics. So because of that, sometimes you will get pushback. But nevertheless, we're going to continue to be that voice for our students and keep planning these events because they need to happen. I would be remiss when I hear students say, hey, if it weren't for this event, or if it weren't for the OMA, I wouldn't be here at SFA. So when you hear those type of things, you realize how important our job is. And regardless of a little bit of pushback, we're going to make sure we continue to do that.
Absolutely, that's really cool. So, in regards to how you're serving multicultural students, you guys usually have a plan for also involving students who might not, like, for their first thought wouldn't be that they need to broaden their multicultural
Mhm.
horizons.
Yeah, so now all our students are open for everyone, right? The target population may be something that's specific, but that doesn't mean we segregate anything, right? Celebration
Right.
is not segregation. So at the end of the day, we open up all our events to any and everyone who wants to come in and realizing that hey, we can all celebrate diversity because at the end of the day, diversity should become natural, right? It's nothing that should be forced. It's something that shouldn't be a negative tagline. It's something that naturally occurs. So we want to make sure that we continue to open up an environment where all students feel welcome to come to any event that we plan.
Absolutely. In terms of getting resources for the events, how do you guys normally identify the people that you want speaking at your events or who can share broader knowledge that's not necessarily here in SFA at the moment?
So once again, that kind of goes back to primarily our student ambassadors. They'll kind of lay the groundwork, and sometimes we try to help them think outside the box in terms of hey, sometimes bringing out outside people, outside perspectives, because sometimes when we focus on things just at SFA, we may be a little limited in our reach. But so just broaden our aspects to people that might be experts in this field and have different perspectives other than here.
Awesome. And how do you guys plan to measure your impact, or how do you plan to measure your impact as in your role or as the organization in our campus?
So it's two different ways. The first way is through assessment. So pretty much after every event, we do an assessment. So those are the data and the metrics that we have that we use to kind of see hey, what we can improve on how we did. And then at the end of the day, student responses. So how the students feel that event went to, and all the individuals who attended. So those are the kind of two primary ways we'll measure the success.
Well, that sounds great. It's really great to hear that you're incorporating the student feedback.
Yes, most definitely.
Well, thank you so much, Javon. Unfortunately, that's all the time that we have for today. Thank you for tuning in to SFA All Access. I'm Jessica Vance, and we'll see you next time.